Live it up. Live like it's the night of your life. You got the right to live. So go and live it up. Live like it's the night of your life. Let's start the party. Start the party. Live it up. Live like it's the night of your life. You got the right to live. So go and live it up. Live like it's the night of your life. Let's start the party. Start the party.
Girl, I'm dangerous like tightrope. No talking, not that of a maestro. More like that lizard from Geico. When I lick, you go psycho. Downtown, I'm more famous than Michael. My game, I gave it to Tycho. Gene Simmons up my time. Whoa, got mind control. Damn control. Up to your spine and back down to your toes. Melt you, little mama, like pie mode. Hot like the summer, goodbye to your
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Xander Effect. I'm your host, Xander Dames. This is a special Xander Effect that I decided to post out here. I'm going to be talking a little bit about everything here, especially right now in this time of crisis with the coronavirus that's pretty much been all over the place. It's been on all news outlets, everything. I hate to be one of those news outlets that talks about it, but here's the one thing, the difference that I'm going to share. And the fact of the matter that there is a silver lining to this moment of crisis that we're all facing together right now. And the silver lining is something that many people have ignored. They haven't really paid attention to it, or they've been more focused on the negative rather than the positive. Granted, this disease, this virus, has many negatives, including taking the lives of thousands of people across the world, all over the world, infecting thousands of people all over the world, and it's something that that many people haven't really actually seen, and that's the fact of the matter that this virus has brought us closer together, and it's brought us closer together in the sense that before we took many things for granted in our lives. Let's go with, for example, the very first thing, that is the lessons that we learned as children. As children, we were taught to wash our hands before and after we eat. We were taught to wash our hands after coming home from, wherever we were at. We were taught so many of these lessons that we forgot and we have taken completely for granted. Now that there's a virus out there that, you could easily get infected, suddenly everybody's in a panic. Suddenly it's almost like people are procrastinating life. They see, a pandemic happen, and the media has made this huge deal out of something that, yes, it is important, but it's something that we should have been doing, all the time, which is just practicing proper hygiene. And it's something that we don't do, something that we go ahead and take for granted. We see it as it's 20 seconds of our lives that we won't get back. Well, those 20 seconds is what's helping you not get sick or spread anything towards anybody else. Those 20 seconds are they're small 20 seconds that will go by really quickly while you're washing your hands and making sure that you're staying healthy for yourself and for your loved ones. That's just 20 seconds. It's not that long. And we're trying to teach our kids to wash their hands and everything, and we're not doing it ourselves. We're not practicing what we preach, and we're not practicing what we were taught. It's something that we need to really, really focus on. The other silver lining to this virus is the fact of the matter that we as a society have an opportunity to become closer together. We have an opportunity that while all of us are staying home and away from everybody, people may look at this as a shutdown. I look at it as there's a lot of good things that come with that. For example, parents get to spend more time with their children. They get to spend more time with them at home, something that many children lack. They lack having a mother and a father that are always home because mom and dad are always working. And yes, it's something that's necessary to put a roof over our heads, food on the table, and clothes on our backs and everything. But we miss that time where we're closer together. This is a great opportunity for many families to become closer together, to talk, to see how your day is going instead of social media clouding the situation. I mean, granted, there's always going to be social media and people are always going to be checking their phones, but now it's more along the lines of we're going to sit down and actually talk. We're going to have a dialogue on what's going on in the world. We're going to share things together. We're going to share our fears together. But we're also going to share our time together as much as possible. This is something else that people take for granted all the time. This is something that people need to remember, that there are loved ones that you want to go ahead and sit down and take the time to talk with. There's many commercials on TV about family togetherness and, people putting phones away and everything to go ahead and have dinner at the family table. This is the opportunity to do just that. Another great silver lining is lack of traffic and polluting the air. Nobody's going to work. Everybody's staying home. Guess what? There's no traffic. There's no pollution in the air. We're actually helping the environment in a sense to make sure that there's no smog. There's none of that in the air that actually causes a lot of diseases. It causes problems with respiratory infections. We're actually doing better for the environment. It's calming things down. So these are things that people don't really realize. Now we go to the other silver lining. Celebrities and athletes. All these athletes that took their careers and their fans for granted. Well, now it's the time for them to reflect that without the fans, they've got nothing. Without us being in those stands, without us actually paying for tickets and things like that, they have nothing. They have no millions of dollars. All these athletes that are saying, well, I'm demanding 24 million for like 2 years. You don't do it for the love of the game anymore. You do it for the love of the money. This is a time where all these professional athletes can actually reflect and see, well, damn, I get paid, but where the money comes from isn't from a corporation, isn't from this. No, it comes from the fans that pay for tickets, that pay for merchandise. They pay for all these things. That's where that money comes from. It doesn't come just out of thin air. This is a time for these professional athletes to really reflect and see that. Other people that need to reflect are celebrities, actors, actresses, producers, directors. All these people that believe that they're self-entitled, that they all have these things, these riches and everything. Guess what? This also doesn't come out of thin air. All the riches, all the money you get comes from the consumers, people that pay for movie tickets, people that pay to go see this movie, to go buy your action figure. These are the people that are consistently doing this for you. We cannot, take them for granted. All these celebrities cannot take regular Joe Schmoes for granted, because Joe Schmo's the one that pays for your rent, for your mortgage, for all the fun that you have throughout the world. They pay for that. And a lot of actors and actresses, they don't see that. They're very self-entitled. Many of them are. Not all of them. Many of them are. And they need to realize that, hey, without the fans, you're nothing. You've got nothing. I mean, imagine a movie theater, a premiere, without the fans. Imagine sporting events without the fans cheering you. It's quiet. It's definitely quiet and very eerie at the same time. But that's the world that we're currently living in right now. This is a time for the world to reflect. This is a time for the world to reset itself and figure out its rightful priorities, its correct priorities. Something that many people have been taking for granted for a long time. All these things are things that we need to continue to reflect on during this moment of crisis. These are the silver linings. Musical artists, same thing. Musical artists are having to cancel concerts. All these big corporations having to cancel these huge concerts. They all need to realize that, hiking up prices, making it hard for a lot of people to go ahead and go to these concerts is greed. And this greed is not here anymore. This greed is no longer here because of this crisis. This crisis has put a pause on every single solitary business all over the world. And this is something that many people have to go ahead and realize. These are all silver linings. It's time for us to love one another. It's time for us to come together. It's time for us to go back to the values that we have taken for granted. Go back to the things that we've taken for granted, the people that we've taken for granted. And realize, you know what? Without these people, we're nothing. Without this family, we're nothing. Without ourselves, we're nothing. These are all things that many people need to realize and wake up to the harsh reality. Big businesses also need to realize, business owners need to realize that without your employees, you have no business. Big businesses need to be a little bit more sensitive and lenient towards people that are sick. Don't make them come to work. Don't threaten their job. This is their livelihood. But if they come to work and they're sick, they infect other workers. In turn, that slows your business down. It slows production down. These are things that big businesses also need to realize. We're all human beings. We all have to feed our families. We all have to feed ourselves. And without that employee, without that person that you take for granted, you have no business. You have no production. Big businesses need to figure out a way to have paid sick leave. Not just in times of crisis like there is now, but all the time. Employees can easily get others sick with something as small as the common cold. But if one employee infects another, that slows production down. That slows your own business down. So in essence, it's a good thing. You're not going to go ahead, it's not going to break the bank for you to pay an employee for them being sick at home. Matter of fact, that could actually help you in the long run. Because that employee could not just get other employees sick and then cause slowing in your production down, but they could also infect a possible customer. And who knows if that customer maybe has an underlying condition, a low immune system. That could be harmful to them too. These are the small things that many business owners don't take into account or don't care about, but they need to. Hopefully, this crisis will actually wake them up and make them see that this is a lot bigger and a lot more serious, and they need to make certain changes in order to help their fellow man out. Human arrogance is something that unfortunately we all have. It's something that we need to stop, because arrogance can only take you so far. Arrogance, unfortunately, could be our own undoing. Thinking that we know more than the other. Thinking that we know more than nature. Thinking that we know more when we still have a lot to learn. Human beings are consistently learning new things. So therefore, we don't know everything. We can't be that arrogant to think that we know everything. Right now, we're dealing with a microscopic enemy that we know nothing about. We're still learning. We're still trying to figure out how this happened. How can it be prevented? How can it be stopped? How can it be contained? These are the things that human beings are still learning. But in the meantime, while that happens, this is also a time for all of us to reflect. It's also a time for all of us to really, really think about the things that are around us on a daily basis that we have taken for granted. We mustn't do that anymore. And granted, after this is all over, we'll probably spend like a day or two changing our ways. But unfortunately, we'll just go back to the same habits. Because that's just the way humans work. That's just the way humanity is. We see it as, well, yeah, this is a huge problem. I'm going to start washing my hands every day. It's almost like a New Year's resolution. After a crisis, there's always a new resolution. Oh yeah, I'm going to go ahead and watch what I eat. I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands every day. I'm going to go ahead and be kind and appreciate my fellow man and my fellow woman and, you know, this, that. And then about 2 days later, we're back to our old habits. Hey, I'm guilty of it too. I'm not going to say I'm no angel. I'm not. I'm guilty of all these things I'm talking about right now. Granted, not the taking audiences for granted or anything like that, but you know, the whole washing hands thing, when you're thinking about so many things, 20 seconds is the last thing on your mind. But I can tell you this much. I'm going to try my hardest to try to change my ways. I'm going to try my hardest to try to spend more time with my loved ones. Because at the end of the day, we don't know how long we're on this planet. We don't know how long we're going to see our loved ones. We don't know how long they're going to be on this planet. Think about it. So many grandparents have died due to this virus. So many grandparents have been infected. So many parents have been infected. So many loved ones have been infected. That's how fragile life is. That we don't know. We don't know when it's going to be our time to go. We don't know. So this is the time that we need to spend as much time with each other as possible. This is the time that we need to practice unity. This is the time for that. This is the time where this virus, instead of pulling us apart, it needs to bring us closer together. That's the silver lining. And that's exactly what all of us need to focus on. Rather than focus on the negative, let's focus on the positive. Because we're in this together for the long run. We don't know exactly when this virus will be contained. We don't know exactly when this virus will have a vaccine. We don't know how it's going to play out. The CDC and many other officials are saying that this could last up to 2 years. Imagine 2 years without going to the office, without going to a concert, without going to an amusement park, without going anywhere for 2 years. 2 years we're in our own self, I guess you might call it, quarantined area. Make the best of that time. Don't look at it as a prison. It's not a prison. Look at it as time that you need to spend with your loved ones, because you don't know how long you have them for. You don't know how long they're going to be here for. This is the time to make these moments count. This is the time to appreciate every single solitary little tiny minuscule thing that you have in front of you. Both family and environment. This is the time that all of us need to really, really enjoy one another. Enjoy what we have. Focus on that. Don't focus on the negative. That's the silver lining of this coronavirus. And that, my friends, that is the Xander effect. Thank you so much for listening. love each other, be careful, and make sure to wash your hands. Be safe.
Live it up. B. Taylor. Flow Rida. Live it up. Live like it's the night of your life. You got the right to live. So go and live it. Live it up. Live like it's the night of your life. Let's start the live it up. Let's start the live it up. Live like it's the night of your life. You got the right to live. So go and live it. Live it up. Live like it's the night of your life. Let's start the live it up. Let's start the live it up.
Girl, I'm dangerous like tightrope. No talking, not that of a maestro. More like that lizard from Geico. When
The Xander Effect is powered by 50/50 Global Music Inc., BMG, and Sony Music The Orchard, in association with Art 19 Media.